morning. Welcome to Viewpoint, an ad hoc show we put together once a week down here in one time or another. We have a couple of unusual with us this morning in the studio. Very unusual. No, seriously. Our co-host this morning is Mr. Tim Searby. People might have heard of him in the community. He's just been around a couple of years now. And we're going to get into that in just a little bit. And I'm going to have him introduce, the way we do it here, Tim, is have you introduce our guest this morning. Our guest this morning didn't know whether he was coming in as a co-host or a guest. And we just kind of put it together in an ad hoc version here. Of a serious note, we always try to start Viewpoint, you gentlemen will remember, with a kudo or two or something that's going on in the communities. We had an occasion in this past week to have a first-hand knowledge of what's going on at Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital and my family. And I would just seriously like to say and commend them to everybody in the airways here this morning. We had, Mrs. Gossett was a patient there for 5 days, and she and I are both eternally grateful for the care and the attitude. Everybody from housekeeping to dietary to the registered nurses to our personal doctor and the cardiologist that we saw. Outstanding. So we're lucky. We're truly lucky to have those facilities here. And I just want to express our thanks to them. So, our co-host this morning is Mr. Tim Searby. Seriously, Tim has been with us a long time. What year did you first come to Lincoln, Tim?
We moved back here in 1977. Lorna and I met at Lincoln Christian College at that time, now Lincoln Christian University. Mm-hmm. I pursued her for several years, and she finally gave in. Yeah, well. And then in 77, we moved back and have been here ever since.
Well, Tim is Associate Vice President of Development at Lincoln Christian University. Most of you will remember not for his academic achievements, and maybe the school doesn't remember for him his academic achievements for that matter.
I think you're right.
But insofar as the fine arts are concerned, plays, musicals, and Tim has directed those plays and musicals not only for LC Christian University, but for our community for 18 years or better.
Yes.
And so we appreciate your filling in this morning, Tim, very, 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 very much. So why don't you introduce our, in an official way, a fellow that's also not well known, but we'll try to we'll try to solve that in the next 40 minutes.
I'd be glad to do that. But first, I want to second your kudos to Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital.
Thank you.
My mother was there a year ago and received excellent care. The staff just couldn't have been better. We were thrilled with the care. So I'd just like to pipe in with you on that.
Thank you, sir.
But it is my my privilege to introduce our guest today. I have had the privilege of performing with this guy, and also just known him as a dear friend. Bill Thomas is with us today. Why don't you tell them your real title so we don't mess it up?
My real title? You don't want me to give them the fake one? I'm going to do the real one today.
Yes.
Okay.
Not yes. What Chris calls you.
Okay. I have the pleasure of working for the entire county as the executive director of the Logan County Economic Development Partnership. Shorthand, I do economic development for the county.
For the county,
yes.
Well, we are delighted to have you with us today.
Well, it's always a pleasure to be here, and it's really nice to be here when you're here, Tim. That was a real nice surprise when I walked in the door.
Well, and for me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, as I say, we kind of put this together ad hoc this morning,
Yep.
so it's going to work out just fine. Not only your Logan County economic development duties and responsibilities, which are really manifold, you are particularly being a denizen of. Well, by the way, I first met this young gentleman when my grandchildren were going to when he was principal at elementary school here.
Yes.
Yes, Bill and I go way back too.
Yeah, so
way back.
And that was a good thing. I interrupted myself, which I'll do.
I want to see if you use denizen properly, so go ahead.
Well, you can look that up in your Funk and Wagnalls. Bill is intensely, being an Atlanta resident, that's the other word for denizen.
Okay.
He's intensely interested in what's going on up here, and not only does he have a very, very, very successful professional job of his own. How do you spell that? T-E-O-L-I-G?
T-E-L-E-O-L-O-G-I-C.
All right.
Teleologic.
Which means he writes software. Is that the essence of it, Mr. Thomas?
I leave the software writing to people who are younger than me and know how to do that. What I focus primarily on, or back in the day when I was really actively doing it, was what I did in the classroom, Bill. We produce online courses. So we essentially design and put together courseware, develop curricula and individual courses.
Well, that's an amazing thing, and that shows you what the technology world has done in education and so forth today.
But you may not be aware, I am actively working very, very hard to retire this year from that position.
Well,
yes.
Well, that'll come to the community's betterment because you're going to have more time.
I hope so. I do. I hope so.
The interesting thing about that type of, and our guest, Patrick Doohan, last week, they have clients the country and maybe the world over.
Oh, yes.
And that's very interesting. So, and here we have, right here in little old Atlanta, a firm that has clients all over this doggone country. And in Pat's business, he has the same thing. So, not only do you do that, but you're intensely interested in what's going on here. And you've been vitally involved in redeveloping this great little restaurant up here, the Palms. And that has been certainly, I sure hope it's an economic success, because it's sure an aesthetic success up here. Well, and every time I've been up here, I've had good meals, and then you have these programs. And it's a nice thing that Logan County has Elkhart down in one end, the south end of the county, and Bill and his group up here in Atlanta. And tell us good about some of your programs that you have been producing and will be producing.
Oh, the first one that comes to mind, and I think this is the 5th year that we've been doing this, you guys. But the first one that comes to mind that I really, really enjoyed this year was when we had in a guy by the name of Joel Baker. I don't know if you came to that one or not, Bill.
I'm trying to put it together.
Joel Baker is the leading authority in the country, probably the world, on, of all things, the Muffler Men Giants. You know, we have this giant statue that's a Route 66 icon in downtown Atlanta. Well, he has researched the history of those, the whereabouts of all of them that still exist, and like I say, he is the leading expert in the country. So he came, did a wonderfully interesting program. He even brought body parts along with him. He had a giant, well, oh, I will. He had a giant arm, he had a giant head, and it was really cool to be able to get up that close and look at them. But Joel just became fascinated about 5-6 years ago with these advertising devices that folks used back in the early 60s. And the Bunyan Giants, the Muffler Men Giants, were legend in their day, and they still are. That giant is the single biggest attraction, no pun intended, in Atlanta. People all over the world know of that giant. So we couldn't be happier to have him downtown.
Well, it's amazing. And of course, he's in this Route 66 mystique. As you well know, Tim, it's an amazing attraction. Now, I sit at the counter to Palms often, and I do it primarily, sit there and leaf through that register.
Oh, yeah.
For people from all over the world.
And what's really fun this year, this is the first year, typically tourists come between April and October. But I've been amazed. If you look at the guest book up there, you'll see people all across the winter months. And that's one of the first times that's happened with us. Certainly not as many as come in the summer, but it's been steady this year, which is great. Because obviously it's to put my other hat on, it's a major economic development tool for not just Atlanta, but for the whole county, because we're blessed to have it run through our entire county.
Yeah, you have a lot of things going on up here. The Hawes elevator. Now, as a kid, That has a special attraction to me because I remember as a kid on the farm, my granddad turning me loose for the first time to drive a team of horses to take the grain to the elevator.
You do go back, don't you?
Yeah. You know how they lifted the elevator or the wagon?
On the dump log?
Well, no, wasn't
or
it?
What?
They had cables they put around the hubs of the wagon.
Okay.
They drew it up a little bit, and then it tipped.
Was that electric?
Yeah,
cables? Yes, because we have that. That is there's an electric cable system in the Hawes elevator, but then there's also what they call the dump log system, like a big teeter-totter that the wagon sat on. Yeah.
Well, I was intrigued with that, and then, of course, I got in trouble for letting the horses run all the way back to the farm. They turned down that lane, and they were full of soap and lather and everything. And I wasn't very popular with my grandfather. But anyway, the upcoming dinner programs at the Palms Grill. William, let's...
okay.
You're going to have... By the way, the times I've been there, I've always had a nice meal, good meal. Sometimes they're excellent. We're starting here on the 14th, Valentine's Day. You want to come with me, Tim?
I'm sorry, I'm already committed.
So you're going to have
we're going to have a special date night.
Italian night on the 14th, or on March the 4th, I mean.
Yeah, that's in March.
And prime rib night in March.
In March also.
And then of course, we have to go across the street, catty corner, to the library, which is such a gem.
Oh, yeah.
And I have been in there since it's been refurbished and redone. What a place for a small community to have.
We're doing just a tremendous amount of programming now at the library that started probably 3-4 years ago now, especially when our new library directors came on board, Kathy Hieronymus and Rachel Neisler, and I've never seen this much activity at the library, so it's just wonderful. And you've been to several dinner programs now.
Yes, I have.
Jumping back to those for just a moment, I want folks to know about how excited we are about the new performance and exhibit space that the library has, which is actually upstairs at my office. So that upstairs is like 5,000 square feet, and a good portion of that we're now using to put on the dinner programs.
Yeah, it worked out nicely.
Oh, it's just been wonderful because it allows us to feed more people downstairs, and then folks can take the steps or the elevator and go up to this really nice performance space upstairs.
Some of the more stubborn of us use the steps instead of the elevator.
That's fine. Your doctor would be happy, Bill, I'm sure.
But in conjunction with that space upstairs, you have a very modest but a very surprisingly complete museum up there.
Yes.
And that's very, very nice.
Right.
I heard somebody go out, I didn't know they had this, and they were really impressed.
That's been one of the side benefits of holding the programs upstairs. In order to get into the performance space, people have to walk right through the middle of Atlanta's museum, so a lot of folks are being exposed to it that otherwise haven't been. We're also going to expand the exhibit space into that new space over at my office.
Oh, yeah.
There are several small rooms up there besides the one big place where we do the dinner programs, and we're going to be designing and putting in some exhibits there.
Nice part about one of the fellows in the studio had a daughter who had a wedding, and he decorated that hall upstairs, and he just left them up. And it's really nice, Bill.
Yeah, it is.
It makes a nice environment.
And it saved us the trouble of taking them down. So, yeah. But I'm really very happy to report, and I wouldn't have known this until this past Monday. One of the new exhibits that we're going to be producing within the next year is going to help tell the story of Atlanta's Masonic Lodge Hall, which that's the building itself where the Lodge Hall was, but through the kindness and generosity of the Atlanta Lodge that currently exists and meets on a regular basis, they are donating some of their original artifacts that were up there in the Lodge Hall that we now use as a performance space, and we're going to use them for a brand new exhibit.
Little side note on that. Several years ago, when LCT did Camelot, they loaned us costumes, chairs, beautiful things. That'll be a real addition.
Yeah, it will. Well, that lodge has been such an important part of Atlanta's history. I mean, it's been there since the early 1850s when the town was first founded. And we need to be telling the story of that group.
Yeah, that's another facet of interest for folks to see. And you know, when I joined the Masonic Order in 1946, which is a day or two, the emphasis, of course, as we all know, is pretty much of a secret thing.
Right.
And I couldn't tell my brother or my sister or anything at all about that. It's more open now today.
Right, and I don't think we're going to give away any secrets. We just have...
You don't have to worry about this. All you have to do is get on the internet.
That's right. That's right.
Everything is there.
I think the thing that's the artifact that is most exciting that the Lodge is going to loan to the museum. Do you know what I'm talking about if I talk about a carbon arc slide projector?
Boy, that's
one of the very first kinds of projection devices
Mm-hmm.
manufactured. I'm guessing this was, circa 1880s.
Think of that.
The original carbon arc slide projector that the Lodge used in the projection booth that is still upstairs in my office, we have it, or they have it, and they're loaning it to us. It's in pristine condition. It's beautiful. People are going to be amazed when they see it. So that's going to be part of the new exhibit.
The pickers never come through here.
Well, we're not going to let the pickers in the door. No, I'm sorry, we're closed.
There been any hitches? Almost inevitably, there had to be some hitches in any program. As you planned your weekly Friday night programs?
Oh, goodness, Bill. Very few hitches. The only hitch that I can even begin to think of might be a problem with some audio-visual material. But and a couple speakers have run late, and I've sweat a little bit, wondering, what am I going to talk about if these people don't show up? But,
I don't worry about you.
No. I'm actually a very shy person, Tim. I don't like...
I understand.
If I don't have to.
I think, as legal terms, it says, further the opponent saith not on that.
I object.
Now, let's talk about economic development in Logan County. Here we are in almost the center of everything. We're working in a state which is an abjectly poor condition financially. That's got to be tough. Can't divulge any secrets, of course, but do we have any hopes for things on the horizon that firms or with whom you're working?
Sure, we always have hopes, but you're right. It's a tenuous game, economic development, because you are always working to try and find new projects, new businesses, new opportunities, and you're faced with the dilemma of you can't talk about them until they become real.
Sure.
And very few of them ever become real. That's one of the, in my opinion, that's where some education is needed with the general population about economic development. Probably the single most important thing an economic development office can do to help a local area's economy is to help retain and enhance the businesses that already exist so that you don't lose them. They're already here. Make sure they're supported and growing, and they're going to generate a lot of economic activity in the process. Keep jobs in your area and create new jobs. But unfortunately, a lot of folks think economic development, when are you bringing in that new factory? Or when are you bringing in that new mall or big store?
Well,
and really the grunt
Yeah.
work is just helping make sure that your existing businesses survive and you look attractive to new ones. So,
Sure.
Well, around the square, we worry about around the square. That was the hub of the whole thing.
oh yes.
Back the folks used to come from around and sit in their cars around the square so they could watch who's coming and going.
That's right.
Oh, I've been in one of those
Saturday
cars
night,
as a child, yes.
Yes.
We do have some little firms that are coming along here, making an investment in the community, and they're a nice addition. The Deep Roots Bakery.
Yes.
That comes there, they're doing a great job. Wish them well. My neighbor Troy Hanger and some friends of his, an unusual enterprise, Spirited Republic.
Yes.
And
what a great addition to
it is a
downtown.
nice addition. they aesthetically inside, it's just remarkable what they've done in there.
And I see good things, great things potentially from the new movie theater complex. Oh my word.
Beautiful.
What an asset for a community of 14, 15,000 people.
I've not
That's
been in
amazing.
the Grand 8 yet, but I've heard raving reviews about it.
Absolutely beautiful.
And now this may not be nearly as sexy and intriguing as Spirited Republic or the new movie theater or the new bakery, but two things are going on in the county that I think are really important. They're kind of low key, but they're going to help all of us. One of them is, and this just the very phrase I'm going to say is deadly dull, the electric aggregation effort. Ooh, doesn't that get your blood?
Well,
Please
yesterday
tell us
it did.
more.
Yeah, well, thank you, Tim. I really appreciate that. I appreciate that. Because not many people come up to me and say, oh, please tell me more about electric aggregation. That is an effort. We did it 2-3 years ago, and now we're going to go back out and do it where the county and all of the cities in the county band together to buy their electricity. And by banding together, instead of just automatically buying from our major utility, Ameren, we can go out on the market and buy from any number of sources. And what the beauty of it is it saves then every single household in the county some money every year. Not a whole lot. I'm not going to
doesn't have to be a
overblow
lot.
it,
No.
but it does save, and that just puts more money in our citizens' pockets that they can then spend. So that's a very direct way of boosting and helping our economic base.
Absolutely.
We have some pockets that get filled here at the station, and the only way they get filled is honoring our sponsors. So at this minute, we're going to take a sponsors break, and then we're going to come right back with Bill Thomas and Mr. Tim Searby. Right back in the. Oh, I didn't hear the music come on. Right back here, live in the studio.
Turn the 8 up, Bill.
Turn my hearing aids up a little bit.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Our co-host this morning, Tim Searby. We sure probably have to have you with us. We're going to get in and talk about some of the things you've been involved with here shortly. Having so much fun visiting with Bill Thomas, who is our Economic Development Director for the county. Let's go back to what we're working with Heartland Community College and our farm friends and so.
Sure. This is
Bill.
another exciting thing. It's going to be a bit more long term. 2 years ago, the Logan County Economic Development Partnership began working with Heartland, specifically focusing on what in the business they call workforce development. And that's just a fancy phrase for saying you want to make sure that folks in the county are trained and qualified to meet the needs of your businesses and manufacturers. So we focused primarily on working with Heartland to provide training programs for places like Eaton, Precision, Inland Tool over in Pulaski, etc. Well, the more we talked with Heartland, and because I happen to be good friends with, do you know Dave Bishop that runs the organic
yes,
farm south of
yes.
Atlanta? Well, one day we were having lunch and Dave and I were talking and we decided, oh, maybe we need to talk with Heartland and see if they would have any interest in doing something in terms of workforce development for farmers, especially younger farmers, who might be interested in moving into organic and sustainable agriculture. So we met with them 2-3 weeks ago and have started the conversations about working with Heartland for them to develop a curriculum program or a certificate program and some internships that David could help out with in order to help any farmers that are so inclined. So I think it's a real future-looking enterprise, and that's why I like it.
Yeah, and it makes the farmers and those who are not farmers a part of the community. They work together in this capacity, and that's a great program.
I don't mean to be facetious, but I love the fact that here in Logan County we still do traditional row crop farming. And it's a real important part of our overall economic base. But we've already diversified when it comes to agriculture. And the primary diversification is sitting a mile north of Lincoln.
Yes.
On Old 66.
Yes, we're
the new medical marijuana cultivation facility. And regardless of anybody's particular opinion about that, that's a major economic player in the county now.
And would be more so in the state. More so in the state.
Yes.
Tax-wise.
Yes,
Now,
absolutely.
We had a telephone interview with my son Greg and his associate up there in Canton, and Scott has opened up a medicinal marijuana retail store. And Greg set
Yes,
up,
I knew there was a dispensary in Canton. Yeah.
Greg set up the security, and he's in charge of security for the place now.
Okay.
And it's interesting, talking about dollars and cents. I said, where's your furthest customer come from so far? And somebody drove up from Marion, Illinois, all the way from Marion to Canton to get get something. $385 an ounce.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I do wish the state would be a little bit more proactive in terms of expanding the lists of medical conditions for which prescriptions can be written for medical marijuana.
Well,
for
they're
some
too busy
reason,
fighting.
Yeah, for some reason we're having some difficulty getting that done.
Well, the reason is that they can't sit down and even in common sense across the table and visit with one another and hammer out the problems and get on with having a budget in this state.
Yeah.
It's just pitiful, and there's no excuse for it. Nobody's working for the good of the state. It's all, well, what's good for me.
Right.
So take care of my pockets. Tell me a little bit, if you will, please, about the Houghton House, Houghton Carriage House.
Oh, okay. Houghton is how they say it.
Thank you very much.
Houghton. Yes, I'm a resident of Atlanta, but I'm new. We've only been there 31 years, but I have learned how to say that family name. You know, Atlanta has worked really hard over the last 10 or so years, maybe 15 now, in order to leverage tourism for economic development purposes.
Yes.
And we're succeeding. But you can't stop. You can't plateau. You've got to keep doing new things. So, oh my gosh, I am just such a history geek. This is why I love this project. Bill, you remember what carriage houses were. Back in the day before automobiles, you had a small barn or a carriage house out back where you put the horse and your carriage or wagon, whatever you had. They used to be all over Atlanta. I'm sure they're all over Lincoln, and I'm sure there are many still in Lincoln. Well, in Atlanta, we found ourselves down to the last wooden carriage house still in existence.
Wow.
So the Atlanta Historic Commission decided to make it a project to save that thing. We did. We purchased it from the owners. It used to be situated next to what we call the Houghton House, which is right behind the bandstand down at the park. Okay?
I know where we are now.
We moved it onto the grounds of the Hawes Grain Elevator Museum so it would be more accessible by tourists. We did that last December. It was snowing and blowing, but we moved it halfway across town, situated it there, and now we're in the process of fully restoring it. It's had a new roof put on, new siding, new windows. I'm particularly happy that some of the descendants of the Houghtons, we've made them aware of the project. So come this summer, after we get it finished painted and put in an interpretive display, we're going to have a big celebration, invite all the Houghtons back, and we'll make sure you know when that happens.
Really neat.
Great.
Which also brings me to your bed and breakfast. I thought I'd not been in the home, but I've driven by it, and it's such an aesthetic pleasure to see that.
Oh, Bill, I've got a key. Come on up. I'll get you in.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah, that's turned out very nice too. It's become really popular for family dinners and reunions and baby showers and bridal showers, just in addition to folks staying there.
I was just thinking, we had a big carriage house right across the street from you, in fact, young fella.
Really?
The TT Beach mansion, and it was big. And in the back they had a carriage house, and up above it, there was our garage up above it. And somebody put some baskets up there, and we used to go there and shoot baskets. All right, now, Mr. Searby.
Yes, sir.
You have a production coming up. Lincoln Christian University is going to present a very special program, play, musical, not a play, called Godspell. I just tossed it to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, we have not produced musicals or plays on campus since 2010, and I'm delighted to be back to be able to do that again. We will present Godspell February 25th, 26th, and 27th at 7:30 p.m. in the Earl C. Hargrove Chapel. excellent ticket prices, $5 for students through college and $10 for adults. You can't find that many places.
So what were the dates again? What did you say?
February 25th, 26th, and 27th, 7:30 p.m.
So how long have you been in rehearsal?
We've been in rehearsal since they came back at the first part of January.
Okay.
So they'll actually end up having about 6 weeks of rehearsal.
6 weeks. And how many in your cast, Tim?
We have 13 in our
13.
cast. 13. Our music is being done by Dr. Donnell Franklin, who is a professor there doing a
So will you have a pit,
job.
an actual pit?
We will actually have the band, and they'll be on stage as we did with our original production in 1979. That production was the first time we did Godspell at Lincoln Christian University. Show came out in 71. Actually, Stephen Schwartz and Michael Tebelek, actually this was a project for a school project, and then of course just blew up and went crazy, and people all over the world love Godspell. You can't beat the script.
No.
It's from the book of Matthew, and so it's fantastic.
Good authors.
Good authors.
Yeah.
Fantastic script and gorgeous music. Such a wide variety of music, and man, are we blessed with exceptional students.
Are you doing a pretty straight interpretation of it?
This is based on the original production from 71.
Okay.
Godspell was revived in 2011 and ran for about a year.
Okay.
And this actually was a revival on Broadway, but the piece is still touring all over the world, and has, of course, been very well done by many community theaters. But
yes.
I am thrilled that as Lincoln Christian University, we get to do a great musical based on a book from the Bible, and the music is just excellent.
I asked whether you were interpreting it in any way because, oh gosh, it's been 30 years plus ago. I had the pleasure of being in a production, Did Jesus, up at Highland Community College up in Freeport when I was teaching up there in the northern part of the state. Wonderful director named Mike Dobbins, who was very, very creative, and I don't know why he decided to do this, but he decided to interpret the whole thing and make all of the characters famous movie stars. It was really unusual. I mean, the Jesus character, I was dressed in Charlie Chaplin outfits, the little tramp, sort of the diminutive character, very humble, just as Christ. But then there was John Wayne was on the stage, Clark Gable, and it was just a really unique touch. But the same story came through. It was just a lot of fun to do it with those actors. We really, I was excited about trying to bring it back the way it would have been done when Schwartz and Tebelek brought it together the first time. Now, have you been in it yourself?
No, You've
never performed in it?
This is my 4th time to direct it.
Okay, but you can't get a part, huh?
No, nobody wants me. I'm too old.
Ingenue.
And I couldn't even bring myself to put myself in it.
Speaking of directing, as you well know, the Lincoln Area Music Society, their annual programs that they give at Lincoln High School.
April 9th and 10th.
They are just us. We have Tim in charge of choral vocal work, and Mrs. Case in charge of the bands, the musical part, the instrumental. They are outstanding, just outstanding. And you just sit there when you sit in our community. You talked about having great talent on campus, and you do. Certainly, I saw it at the Christmas program. My goodness, that
Christmas
was just,
in the chapel.
Oh my, that was outstanding. But in this community, we have a lot of people who give a lot of time to rehearse and to perform, and we should be grateful to them for all that, because it's obviously a love with them to do it, because you can watch it as they perform.
Lincoln Area Music Society has been around for many years, and it's
really
improved
a lot in the last few years.
Well, it's exciting. It's exciting to see the interest is still there. We'll have about 50 voices in the chorale, and then there will probably be around 40 in the orchestra. Julie Casa does a super job with our orchestra. It's quality music when you come to see it.
Tim, how and when did you actually get started in theater?
Actually, it happened when I was in high school.
In high school?
However, our town was small enough that I really did not get to do anything as far as major performance. It was when I came to Lincoln Christian College at that time in 1970. 71 that I really then started performing.
What was the first role you ever had?
The first role that I had in Lincoln for community theater was Johnny Brown in The Unsinkable Molly Brown.
Okay.
Favorite show. And but community theater has done a tremendous amount of work too, and we're back. Lincoln Community Theater, we kicked off last summer with a variety show, and we're back for a season. This year we'll be doing Bye Bye Birdie and I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. So it's going to be a great
performed
season.
where?
So it will be performed at Lincoln College at the
College.
Johnston Center.
Okay.
And those dates have not been finalized yet, but it will be happening this summer for Lincoln Community Theater
I've
as
been
well.
thinking about coming back to the boards.
I can't wait.
I tried the boards.
Shall we
You tried the
do
boards?
Music
I
Man?
tried the boards in 1937. The Emperor's New Clothes. I was czar.
Okay. I'm sure the reviews were just
I was
off the charts.
I was in the 8th grade.
I wish I could have seen that.
Oh, Dick Goodman and I, we just whopped him.
I bet.
Well, there aren't many roles that I still want to play, but I have always wanted to do the Paul Lind part in Bye Bye
The father
Birdie.
in Bye Bye Birdie.
Yeah,
You need to come and audition.
That's a
Ideal for
great
that.
part.
You need to
Ideal
audition.
for that.
That would be tempting.
Well, and I do want to take a moment to invite everyone to come and see Godspell. That's coming up here in the end of this month, so February 25th, 26th, and 27th. If you need information, call 217-732-3168, and we'd love to see you there.
Oh, well, how much do we just charge him for that?
Is there anything else
this
about
is
Lincoln
commercial
Christian
operation.
University you would like to tell us, Tim?
I tell you what, I'd love to do that.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're all out of time. No, seriously, what else is going on?
It is a fine university, and Don Green, our president, is doing a tremendous job.
Yeah, he did a good job for
Aided
him.
by Lynn Laughlin, and some tremendous things happening. Great online program as well. So we encourage people to go to our website, check us out, see what's happening at Lincoln Christian University. Send your students our way. We'd love to have them.
And in terms of full disclosure, my wife is the marketing director for Lincoln Christian University, so I'm just trying to keep peace at home.
And thank
by
you,
letting
Chris
Tim-
Thomas.
Yes.
Would you have the business department to bill them for that? About $150 would be the minimum.
Send it to Bill Thomas. He's the developer.
Right, I'll just pass it on to Chris.
All right, Billy. Let's get back. Let's get back to Atlanta, and more specifically, your job as economic development director for this county. That is, you serve at the pleasure of the county board. To whom do you report, sir?
We've all been questioning.
We have a board that consists of all of the mayors from across the county.
Wonderful.
So Marty down in Lincoln,
that's great.
Fred up in Atlanta, etc. Jim Fuhrer, great guy from over in Pulaski. So once a month, all of those mayors or a representative that they send meets together.
So that's how this works.
Right.
Yes.
I didn't realize that, and I'm glad I asked that stupid question because now I know. I didn't realize that you reported to countywide to the various mayors in the community.
Yep.
What about the mayor of Burtonview?
The mayor of Burtonview hasn't come yet.
That's you, isn't it?
One of the three great Bs, Rodwell, Burtonview, and Beeson.
Yes. Well, and let's not forget Lawndale.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, do you have inquiries on a frequent basis or infrequent basis insofar as people who might be interested in this area?
The primary thing you have to do and we have to do as an office is be proactive. It doesn't work if we it doesn't work if we just sit and wait for folks to come to us. One of the things we're focusing on this year is we're having some success in attracting a commercial developer to help us with Atlanta's interstate interchange out there where the new Casey's is and the Dollar General and the Napa store and the motel. So we want to play off of that and see if we can get some interest also down in the southern part of the county at the Elkhart interchange. And it's like anything. It's a process of recruiting. You have to put together something that is going to attract a developer, a flyer or a sheet or some sort of information about what your community has to offer, and then you see if anybody bites.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but way back when I was in business, I worked so hard to acquire this real estate in that corner of Broadway and Logan. And I finally got the last payment made, so I thought, well, that's, this is entryway to downtown. Great prime property. Well, not so today. It's not prime property. Everything moved out west.
Everything changes.
And so that's the answer to that question.
One of the things that we're fortunate to have, though, is the fact that Logan County is one of 5 counties that are all working together in what's called the Greater Peoria Economic Development Council.
Oh.
So we pool our efforts, and a specific example of that is, we put together a really nice summary of why it would make sense, or why we thought it would make sense, for somebody to develop out at Atlanta's Interstate Interchange. Well, but who do you send that to? How do you get that out in front of people? Well, you send it up to the person who is the business attraction development person who works for the Greater Peoria Economic Development Council. It got sent out to over 300 plus potential commercial developers, and that's how we came into contact with the one that we're currently working on. So,
I read recently where there's a firm going to, I guess they're going to start in Havana.
Oh, yes.
Bringing about 1,000 jobs to, or plus.
Yes.
That's remarkable.
It's a major coup for Mason County, and Mason County is one of the 5 that we work with.
Well,
Tazewell, Peoria, Mason,
I presume
Logan.
this is probably because of access to water.
Yes. Yeah.
But I thought, boy, over 1,000 people? That's a shot in the arm.
Well, and they need it. They need it.
Yeah.
Mason County needs some help with economic development.
Wow.
Tim, we're going to give you one last shot if you'd like to, before we close here. The clock is, they have a way of doing that. I'm going to fix this clock between now and next year.
There we go.
So,
do I get to invite them again?
yes, you do. Whatever you want.
Now, to what? What were we inviting them
Don't forget,
to?
Godspell at Lincoln Christian University, February 25th, 26th, and 27th at 7:30 p.m. If you need information, call 217-732-3168. We would love to see you there for Godspell.
All right. You did that well. Don't forget to bill them now. Mr. Thomas, thank you very much for being with us.
It is always a pleasure.
These gentlemen kind of came in at the last minute, and I really appreciate it. Bill, I have to get personal for a minute, but it was a great thing for my kids to go to his school, because that way Gene and I met the Thomases, and that's been I've enjoyed it very, very much.
Delightful people.
It's going okay so far.
I didn't know where we were going, so I didn't know what quotation to look up. But politics has been in the air. God, we're sick of that. So I found one that really rings true, written by Cal Thomas, quite a columnist at one time. Cal said, "Boy, this rings true. One of the reasons people do not like politics is that truth is rarely a politician's objective. The objective is election, money, and power." Well said. Thank you for Viewpoint.